I've got a new project on the go. Is these fascias. They're these are inch by 9, and they've got like an inch by 4 capping on it that covers the top of these slates. On some of the big ones, these are 2 metre, they're 4 metre, and it's a lot higher. But this one I can get to the ridge there. These are okay, these ones. I'm just going to sand these ones down. But these top ones, they're split. There's a bit of rot there. It's not worth messing around, so I'm going to replace these. Got to make some new ones. And then we're going to sand it and paint it. I'm going to use linseed oil paint. It started rotting here, so it wasn't long for this world. And there's a big old split here. So yeah, I'm going to make some new ones of these, get these replaced. And unfortunately for me, I've got 7 gables on this house, that being the biggest one. Got 2 of these, 3 small ones, 3 big ones, and then an even larger one. Yeah, fascias, so that's what we're going to do. Let's have a look in the workshop and see how we're getting on. Excuse the mess. I'd like to say it's a one-off, but it's kind of how I work, to be fair. So here are the pieces that I've made, or started making. This is a primer coat, so this is basically linseed oil paint mixed with 20% terps, and this is pure gum terps. And I get this stuff, this is Ingleby pure linseed oil paint. I have no problems with their stuff, it's been great, so I'll carry on using it. So there was a couple of little challenges making these, apart from getting 6.5 metres up in the air. Well, it's higher than that actually, it's probably near 7. There's an odd angle. This one wasn't too bad. This is a mitre and a bevel. My saw could cope with that. But this angle here, which is right at the ridge, is something like 54 degrees. So it's a real kind of pain. So my mitre obviously only does 45. And you can, because it's on the end, if it was going across the grain like this, you can put a jig on there and give it 90 degrees and then work around it. It's fairly simple. It's a fairly simple thing to do, that one. But because it's a bevel, I'd have to jack this right up. And this is 2.2 metres, right? This is the small one. The next one up is 3.8, and then the big one's 4.4, I think. I haven't measured it, but guessing on the width of the house, it's the whole width, it's 8 metres. And it's probably a couple of metres high, so probably higher than that. I'm never going to be able to sort of jack that up without taking it off, putting it on the floor, and it'd just be real messy. So what I did is I made this jig. All right, now this is just some old scrap bits of wood, so it's clamped to the bench so it doesn't wobble around, otherwise it just makes cutting it more difficult. And all we've got is the base plate, and then a piece for the actual pit part we're cutting to sit on, and then 2 sides. And then I've cut my angle 54 degrees down there. And if I grab my saw, so obviously that just sits in there. The piece you're cutting goes in here. I use a wedge to lock it in place so it doesn't wiggle backwards and forwards, because obviously we want these two to marry up at the top. And although they're 7 metres high, I'm still going to know if they don't fit properly. So that's that, and I cut it this way, but it is a bit of a faff. So I'm looking at doing something a little bit different, where rather than cut it on its flat that way. I'm rambling here. Rather than cutting it that way, because you're cutting a straight cut right across there, I'm trying to make a jig that goes on its end, because it's obviously easier to cut that, but then you've got more opportunity for wiggle. So what I'm thinking of doing is building this base up so it sits higher than this, so I don't cut into this bit, and then I'll have the piece we're cutting in there, and then another one of these on the outside so that it just fits, so I can clamp it together and hold it, and then my 54 degree angle will go across there, and hopefully that will make it a little bit quicker to cut. but I'm concerned about the wiggle, so I'm going to give it a try. It'll either work or it won't. What I'm making this out of is, this is just sawn treated timber. I wanted to use a Koya, something like that, because it's meant to be really, really good, but it's really, really expensive, and there's so much of it out there, make the job horrendously expensive. So rightly or wrongly, I've gone with a treated, I think it's a redwood, but this comes wide because obviously it's not planed. This is 4" by, or 100mm by 22, and this only needs to be 20, and it's only 90mm wide, or just under. So, which is good. So that's why I've used this, because it's oversized for what I need. I'm trying to match what's already there. So I put it through the table saw, rip it down a little bit, and then get my planer out and just plane the surfaces. That does a couple of things. It sizes it, makes it more the dimension that I need, but also gets rid of the rough sawn bits. So as you can see, this is a lot smoother now. Still going to need a little bit of a sand, but this is the underside, so I'm not too worried about this. This was my test piece, because I'm going to flip this over, and now I know what to do with the top. So I'll give it a little sand before I paint it, and probably maybe a rough sand between coats, or a light sand between coats. But yeah, that's what I'm using. Treated timber. So hopefully this is going to last a lot longer than the last stuff, because that's not treated. I tried making this jig. I had a separate bit screwed on there, but I could get the angle right. I couldn't get it square. So what the result of that is when you put a straight edge across here, it's pretty shocking. And even though it's going to be up on that roof, I can't live with that. So I gave up on that idea. So scrapped that jig and went for this way of doing it. Now the problem with trying to cut anything over 45 degrees on most miter saws is it won't go round far enough. That won't go around, it'll only go around to 45. But you can get more out of it by effectively bringing this edge round. And the way you do that is you put a 45 on there, clamp that in, and now basically that is a 45 degree cut. So anything we go round now is over 45. So if I go 10 degrees, I'm doing a 55 degree cut. So that's solved my issue really. It's a bit of a faff because these are great big long lengths. I have to twist the bench, but this bench is on wheels deliberately so that I could move it around. So that kind of helps. I find the longest point, I can get my bit in there. The other thing is that you can, as long as you've got this blade square, as in that at right angles to the miter saw, you can do a straight cut. I've made this wider than you'd need to if you were cutting that way, obviously, so that is at 90 degrees to this, so it holds it, keeps it true, keeps it square. So now I can do a nice straight cut, and I'm doing the important end first, so if I muck it up, I'll get another couple of bites at it. It's a lot quicker and actually works out a lot better than trying to do my jig. Now these aren't the two pieces I started with at the start of this video, they're actually already on the house. It's been quite a difficult one to film, this one. I'll give it for 2 words really, school holidays. But hopefully now, September, normal production will resume. This is for the next gable. These are the bigger ones, and on this one I'm changing the face, or the big barge board. That's the top piece, because they're all rotten. Most of that's missing, and this has got holes in it where the birds have been at it. And that is the support which goes behind this, because that's had its butt kicked as well, where water's been getting in. It's because it's been like it for a couple of years, but I just couldn't get up there. However, I'll show you, if it ever stops raining, I'll show you the 2 that we started the video with in situ now, all painted up. That one's done. And then it's kind of rinse and repeat, just on a longer scale, because this is 4 meters long, just under. So it's quite interesting, quite fun. 8.5 meters up, wiggling around with this. But this is our barge board so far. This is the next one we're doing. You can see it's all soft. Birds have been at it. I don't know if this will come out, but if you see that one there, you see how badly cupped that is. Probably looks worse up there. But yeah, And there's some bird damage there. Right there. Happy days. And then on the inside, see, this is all rotten. It should be wood where my finger is. It's about 1/2 inch deep hole where it's just all crumbled. So that's that 2x3 behind there I've got to replace. Happy days. So there's the two caps or end caps that I've made in the first part of this video. I got lucky with these barge walls, just needed sanding and painting. So yeah, looks pretty good. Not bad for a first attempt. Probably saved me hundreds doing that myself. Hopefully you've liked this one, as fragmented as it's been. My first effort at it. Crack on, have a go yourself. Like and subscribe, help me grow the channel. I'll see you on the next one.